Good afternoon, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California. This is Spiritual Fitness with your host, Vaisheshika Prabhu, a veteran Bhakti yogi, former monk, and author, and myself, JM. Spiritual Fitness is a program dedicated to exploring the timeless text of Bhakti Yoga as well as practices that can be applied in your daily life. Good afternoon, Vaisheshika Prabhu. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, JM. Good to see you. And I'm glad to hear that this is timeless because getting a little timeless knowledge so that one can get perspective could be really helpful, I think, around right now. A lot of energy flying around the world that's a little bit distracting and disturbing. Welcome, everybody. Great to be back with you. And thank you very much for joining in. Today, I was thinking a lot about the pursuit for happiness, a topic we've discussed before, but it's primary to our nature according to the ancient knowledge systems. The wisdom literatures talk about the nature of our self is called anandamayo abhyasa in Sanskrit, which means that we're pleasure seekers. Ananda means bliss or happiness. And my main occupation in life, according to these wisdom literatures, at all stages, is to avoid suffering and is to try to be aligned with happiness as much as possible. I wonder if anybody disagrees with that if you think about it carefully. Nobody wakes up in the morning hoping for a mishap in their life, a call from the IRS or something like that. But on the contrary, we go out of our way to make arrangements so that we're not inconvenienced at all. And what's more, we want to find the source of happiness. So this is one of the main topics that comes up in the wisdom literatures is what is the source of happiness? And there are many metaphors given in that describe those who have come across, for instance, a well, and they look into the well and it's covered by grass. They don't see the water and they wander off into the desert looking for water somewhere else. So it takes a little bit of investigation to find where it is. So interestingly, it's not where I think it might be. I'm seeing often a reflection of what is happiness, but I don't see the real thing. Therefore, one of the great teachers of bhakti, who at the time when he was giving his teachings was only 5 years old. This was thousands of years ago. His name was Prahalad. And he said in one of his very famous teachings, Kutra Shisha Shuti Sukham Mrigatrishni Rupa. And that is, Kutra in Sanskrit means where is it? So he said, where is the happiness? And then he said, Shuti Sukham. Sukham means happiness, and Shuti means you hear about it. So we hear about it, but he says, where is it actually? And then he gives the metaphor of a deer, which is the Mrigatrishni Rupa. So Mrigatrishni Rupa, interestingly, means a mirage. And Mriga is a deer, so there's this sense a deer would see water off in the distance when it's very thirsty and run after it, but never get to it because it keeps receding. And so this boy, teacher, Prahlad, said that happiness in this world, as we approach it, it recedes. And so we never actually get it. So he says, Kutra, where is it? So everything points towards a different direction in finding the happiness, Kutra, and answering that question is what we're going to talk about today. But first, let's take a moment just to see what it's like to center for a second. And this is something that we could do at any second throughout the day, is get a comfortable positioning on your chair or your asana or whatever you're sitting on right now. And just let's bring the mind to focus. And one of the ways to do that is to straighten your posture a little bit more than it was a second before. Bring your shoulder blades down and relax. And then go into some natural breathing, but notice your breath. And if you take full advantage of the capacity of your lungs, you don't have to strain, but just take in a little more breath than you were a second ago. Just these two adjustments, sitting up a little straighter and taking advantage of the capacity of your lungs, can be very helpful in calming the mind. And then next, be aware of your breath and bring your awareness to your breath. If you'd like, it could be helpful to close your eyes and close out the external world just for a minute. And feel that there are roots coming down from your spine into the earth, holding you in place, connecting you with the complete whole of this world and all the energy. And just breathe and then bring your awareness back to your breath. And you might add a tinge of gratitude for your breath, which is very powerful energy, gratitude, and appreciate that you have the capacity to breathe. And it's not a given. We can't take it for granted. And as you're breathing naturally and taking advantage of the capacity of your lungs, and you're relaxing, be aware of your own consciousness. Just be satisfied with the fact that you exist. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. The fact that you exist is amazing. And you always exist. And breathe. And bring your mind back to your breath. And appreciate it. And now for a minute, bring your awareness to your heart, to the area of your heart. This is an energy center. And there's a vibration that's always going on there. Not just a physical vibration, but there's also what's called non-struck sound. It's not coming from the physical realm, it's internal sound. And according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can resonate with the vibration, the sound vibration that's there within that heart area by the mantra Om. So take a couple of breaths and then we'll vibrate the syllable Om together 3 times. You can follow with me. And just feel how the vibration has resonated with the heart area. Bring your mind and attention to your breath. Feel your fingers and toes. Open your eyes and come back into the Zoom room where we conduct these days all our work and connections with people from all over the world. And welcome back. And before I go into some of the topics that I hope have a few points you can take away with you today that are practical, would anybody like to say hello? You can just unmute for a second. And
Hello.
was that Josh?
No, this is Charles.
Hey, Charles. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to have you
No,
on.
thank you for hosting the session. I'm very excited.
Oh, good. Great to have you here.
Hi, Vaish. It's good to see you.
Hey, Josh. Good to see you too. That's a beautiful image you have behind you there. Are those birds? I can't tell from here.
They are birds. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of art, but I did that one.
You did, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's all you need is one. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Been seeing and noticing a lot of birds now in the springtime. They seem to be quite active, and I was noticing their sense of direction. They're going in with great alacrity through the sky, and I'm always wondering where they're going, how they know where they're going, and so forth, and appreciating that living beings, conscious living beings, have this otherworldly sense of where they're going, despite whatever mental facility they have. They still seem very directed and very determined. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Just check in. Three would make it beautiful. Just say hey.
We do have more than 30 people on Facebook as well, and quite a few.
Okay. And they're what?
Quite a few hi, hello from Facebook as well.
Okay. All right. Hi, hello to everyone on Facebook. And someone else just said something.
Hello.
Hi. How do I pronounce your name?
Margie.
Oh, hi, Margie. It's so good to see you, and thanks for checking in. Somehow or other, these days, I need more human contact. Thank you very much. So let's talk about the pursuit of happiness. And as I mentioned before at the beginning, that this is the actual pursuit that we're after, despite all the details. There are ways in which I'm organizing my life this way and that, but ultimately, and this is what is put forward by the wisdom literatures, my ultimate goal is to be happy. Of course, there's also a lot of avoidance of distress or suffering, and I go to great lengths to make sure that happens. And so that's the premise that I'm going on. And if anybody has any discussion they want to have on the premise, or they're questioning the premise, let me know. If it's something that you think is not important, being happy. So the Bhagavad Gita talks about the happiness of a human, especially because humans can be self-determining. This is the idea behind human life. It's called Nri Deham, or you get a human body is a special body. We're passengers, whatever body we're in, according to the wisdom literatures. But the human body gives a special facility. So it says, Nri Deham Adyam Sulabham Sadulabham Plavam Sukalpam Guru Karnadaram. It describes metaphorically that the human body is like a boat, and it's equipped to go across the ocean of suffering and actually come to a place where one can become happy. So for that, you need, according to the extended metaphor, you need some winds in your sail. And also, it's good to have a captain who can tell you that there are rough seas coming and how to navigate the boat across the waters. So that's what the wisdom literatures say as a general rule. When you're in the pursuit of happiness, you're on your boat, and you need to be equipped and a little bit trained about how to navigate the ocean. So the word in Sanskrit for happiness is sukhi, or a person who is happy is sukhi nara. So the word nri in Sanskrit means a human, and nara is a different form of that word. So sukhi nara means a happy human. And the word sukha means happiness. So ka means, one of the meanings in Sanskrit of ka is space. And su means good. So one of the applications of this is my conscious space, called the chitta, within, when expanded, is happy. In other words, I don't feel inconveniences when my consciousness has grown and has expanded. And there's ways through the process of yoga to expand the consciousness. When, on the other hand, my consciousness contracts, it's called dukkha. It's the same word ka is there, but du means bad or contracted. So contracted consciousness is like if you put a fish in a very small bowl and it's thrashing around, it's going to cause a lot of turbulence and water will splash out. But if you put the fish in a large, placid lake, it can move about as it likes, and it's not the lake isn't disturbed. So when our consciousness is expanded, we have this sukha, and whatever impulses are entering within, and there are innumerable impulses coming through our senses and leaving their impressions on the chitta or the mind. When I'm able to expand my chitta, then I'm not oppressed by these numerous impressions that come in that are called vrittis or samskars. And there are practical ways to do this. That's why there's a discipline. The yogic discipline, the meditational disciplines, and so forth are meant for humans. In fact, when you get an appliance in the mail and you open it up, and sometimes you try to put it together or get it to work, and it doesn't go. If all else fails, read the directions. So in a similar way, some of these wisdom literatures, they're considered to be like directions to operate the human apparatus and get it to go in the right way. So the wisdom teachings tell us how to work in such a way that we can become sukhi nara, or happy humans. Here's a quote from the Bhagavad Gita where this phrase, sukhi nara, from which it comes. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, a person is well situated and is happy in this world. And the key word here is tolerance. This is one of the very powerful elements for attaining inner happiness and satisfaction. It may sound like, that just means doing nothing. But as it turns out, I'm pretty good at that. It's like procrastination applied to the right thing. Oftentimes, procrastination puts us in a really bad situation. I won't mention any particular situations right now, but anyone can think about world situations or personal situations in which we procrastinate, and it exacerbates the situation. So how can one apply that? In tolerance when there are urges that are coming from these impressions I have in my mind and senses, and I practice tolerance like a muscle so that I'm not just responding to them without any gap in between. This is a very powerful process. And there's evidence from the Yoga Sutras that when one practices this, it has a systemic effect on one's life. In fact, even tiny victories in the way of being able to tolerate the urges that are non-productive, that distract us in various ways, can be highly effective. Some of the terminologies are really helpful. For instance, recently when I was studying the Yoga Sutras, there's this phraseology about one's mind being outgoing and roaming, as opposed to focused on the inner living force. So the roaming mind, or the distracted mind, which is another aspect of mind, can move from one object to the next without finding any resting place. There's no satisfaction. And also, it can just attend to one urge after another. And, my whole day can be full with these kinds of pursuits, just following one urge to the next urge to the next urge. And never having time actually to feel focused or concentrated on my living force, my actual source. As we did in the beginning, just feeling that we exist. There's so much power in that, and it gives us multiple benefits in dealing with the world that we have to deal with in a very enlightened way, if I may use that word. I captured for some time I was collecting pictures. One of them was at the San Francisco airport, the Ghirardelli chocolate sign at the airport, which I haven't seen for a while because I haven't been in the airport since February 22nd. But here it says on the Ghirardelli sign, oh, there it is. Okay. Moments of timeless pleasure. Chocolate. Okay. Maybe. Timeless. Coca-Cola also advertising. I mean, if you look at that, it's very appealing. There's happiness coming out of a bottle. That sounds pretty good. I'm not sure if it actually works, though. I mean, if you look at it carefully, we analyze it. It's basically sugar water with some caffeine. I don't know what it's in. It's a proprietary recipe, so I don't know if anybody knows exactly what's in there. But is it synonymous with happiness? Open happiness. So my mind's attracted to that because I'm a pleasure-seeking entity, and it sounds good. Let me drink it. But I mean, the long-term effects of drinking sugar water with caffeine may not bring timeless happiness, nor may chocolate bring that. I don't know if you have any comments on that, or if you differ on that at all. Do you find that just any reactions you have to the signs and what their implication are? In fact, everywhere we look, we'll notice that advertisements, and I've seen this many times on billboards, I've been noticing that any even very banal or mundane kind of product that's being advertised, they'll put the face, an attractive face, smiling. I saw this when I was just leaving India in January or February, and there was a company that was selling water coolers or water pipes. It was a pipe company, and they had a picture of a family that were practically in ecstasy next to the pipes. I mean, if it had just been pipes, it might have been very boring, but you look and see that there's a family and they look so happy, and I think, well, maybe I should buy that. Let me ask this question. Have you noticed any of these kinds of telltale signs of promoting happiness anywhere else? For instance, in music, any lyrics or poetry or in signage that you've seen here, there, or anywhere else?
Definitely hey, this is Charles here.
Hey, Charles.
Yeah, definitely the American dream with the house and the dog, the white picket fence. Apparently that's supposed to bring you happiness. I don't know about that one though.
Yeah, Yeah, that's definitely that's
Haven't gotten there yet. So
yeah, yeah. And, when we actually get in the midst of it, that picket fence, a contracting company has to come out and put it in, and along with the house, there's always something that has to be dealt with. When's the time when we actually are experiencing the happiness? The imagery of the white picket fence. That's a really good example because it is there is an imagery for the American dream, and a dream is a dream. When do I actually step into it and I say, this is it, now I have it? And even if that does happen, can I keep it? That's another aspect of happiness, is a kind of existential anxiety that how long will this last as soon as I so that's an issue also that comes up in the wisdom text is the happiness that you're pursuing sustainable? Yeah, thanks for reminding us of that example. Anything else anyone's seen from in their lives, environment, songs?
We have Laurie from Zoom saying, from hip hop, rolling in cash and fans.
Yeah, it comes up so much in music, hip hop, rolling in cash and fans. And oftentimes, I mean, I'm not trying to put a wet blanket on everything that happens in life. I mean, there are joyous occasions, right? But I'm just trying to analyze it from a different point of view. Oftentimes, people who are rolling in cash and fans become morose. George Harrison talked about it in an interview. He was one of the Beatles, and fame, practically incomparable, the kind of fame that the four Beatles got all of a sudden, and the amount of money. And he said once he got it, he realized it was like, he said, climbed to the top of a wall looking over and there was nothing on the other side. So sometimes we find that people get things, they're not necessarily happy. And the stories about people winning the lottery are legion, that they win the lottery and they're not prepared for it, and their lives become ruined, summarily ruined. So yeah, thanks a lot, Laurie. Rolling in cash and fans. It doesn't get more overt than that, does it? Well, here's a thought that goes with this. At each level of success or achievement, one is at the same level of distress caused by the feeling of not having or being enough. So I might think that the next level that I'll reach will be it. But at every level of material acquisition, or trying to position myself externally in the world to be happy, there's still the sense of angst. It doesn't go away. And then the paradigm works like this. And here's why we remain at the same level always. This is just psychology, nothing mystic or anything like that. I get more and my attachments increase. And that leads to a cycle. I mean, that's very simple. When I get more, I get used to it. So whatever income level I'm at, whatever kind of external circumstance I have, then I increase my attachments, and I need a little bit more. Of course, there's a hierarchy of needs. This is a proven theory that we need a certain amount of shelter and facilities so that we're not miserable all the time. And this is not denied in the wisdom literatures. We should have a balanced life and not be completely inconvenienced at all. And it's not recommending that, but it's just recommending an awareness of the fact that no matter what levels I come to for achievement as far as wealth, fans, and rolling in cash, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the pinnacle of happiness. What is the concept? A word in Sanskrit is santosh. And santosh, it's a nice sounding word, don't you think? Santosh. It means satisfaction. And if you look up the word satisfy, it comes from a word satis, which means enough. And that's basically what santosh means also. It means enough. So is there a point at which I feel so connected with my own rootedness in my being, and I'm satisfied with just being, that I have enough. Whatever else I have externally is enough. There's no more chasing. I have to have more, no matter, or there's the phrase, too much is not enough. I can't get to that level of satisfaction because I always need more. So this is actually a tangible state. In fact, it is our constitutional state, according to the wisdom literatures, to be satisfied. And that satisfaction is attained very much by a few practices. One of them is to become regularly experienced in one's own self. And the self is described as something that is non-neural, it's non-temporal, it is non-physical, it is non-chemical. I'll say that list again. What we are, according to the wisdom literatures, is non-neural, non-temporal, non-physical, and non-chemical. We are not part and parcel of the what is called prakriti, or the external world that we're observing through our eyes and our other senses. We're something that's absolutely separate from that, and that can be experienced through the application of various principles in one's life. Some of those we've recommended in the 21-day fitness challenge that connect us through body, mind, and Atma, or higher self, in practice on a regular daily level. And so just one more point I want to make, and then we'll take a few questions or some reflections. And that is, remember that we are containers. This is something that's brought up in the Bhagavad Gita. Remember that the mind, and that I described as the chitta, the mind, our intelligence, it forms a kind of container-like element, and what we put into it, what we take in from our environment, then fills up that container. And if you think about the word content and content, they're spelled the same way, and whatever we put in, that will determine our level of contentment. So remember, you're a container. And here's a quote for the day that I took from James Clear. He gave this very succinct idea, which is that control over attention leads to control over your future. And remember that whatever you're concentrating on, wherever you're practicing, putting your attention, that will develop into how much you're able to regulate what kind of content you bring in. So be careful about the content, and be careful about your attention, where you're putting your attention. So the practice of meditation, and also doing selfless service, and hearing something that's non-material. For instance, last week we experimented in the music arena with having Elon Chester Havi Prabhu here with us, and he was singing, but he was including the mantra. And these timeless practices actually fill up the container that is our consciousness, and they put something that's non-material in. And that gives us a sense of contentment. And on the other side, being careful about what we allow in. And there was developing habits that are in consideration of the fact that we're containers, and we're very subtle. And that what we take in stays in, and will have short and long-term effects. So those are a few thoughts, food for thought. And now let's ask JM if there are any comments coming in on Facebook or questions. And also, everyone here is in the Zoom room, feel free to exert yourself because we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for that overview. I was just reflecting on what you mentioned, that there is a mirage that the deer is seeking. That is the analogy that you gave. Like since morning, I've had a very crazy day, and I know my afternoon is pretty insane as well. But right now, I'm not feeling both of them. I'm out of this period right now. I'm out of those insanity. So you're right. Like it's the water is there. It's just we don't have the knowledge to find where how to get to it. So just trying to reflect on that. People are there are a few reflection on Facebook. One is the term non-neural, non-physical, non-temporal, and that you mentioned that was appreciated by Priya. Also,
Non-chemical.
attention leads to control over your future. A very important point as well. There's a comment so far on Facebook and Zoom.
Thank you very much. And also, if you're on Zoom, the chat box seems to be also a kind of a neutral place to check in if you want to put anything in there as well. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Something just came in when I said that. Laurie, can you please repeat the quote and author? James Clear. He said, control over attention leads to control over future. So it goes to a question, what's the best use of my time right now? It's a question I can keep asking myself, and also remembering that where attention goes, energy flows. And my main asset in life is my attention. And I have some free will about where I'm going to place it. So it's a big responsibility, but it's consequential. And if I decide where I'm going to place my attention and I direct it in ways that, for instance, the wisdom literature say will help to develop my consciousness and increase the content that is especially edifying, then that's what's called sadhana, or the practice that brings me to this kind of satisfaction. It's kind of sadhana. So here's something. Yes, the chat box is our friend. Thank you for the very nice speech. Oh, thank you for being here. The mind and intelligence is like a container. What we put in fills in the container. I like your statement that we need to fill in with good thought, words, and deeds so that our container is well filled. Yes, thank you for remembering that. This is one of the self-determining aspects of human life and of sadhana, or practice, which takes us to this higher level of happiness, is being careful what we put inside. So what do we put in? One of the aspects is a non-material sound, and I've talked about this before many times, and that is the mantra. There are different kinds of sound. There are sounds that are fairly inconsequential. If I make a noise, for instance, not related to anything particular, there's no intention behind it, then there are other sounds that are meant to impart knowledge. For instance, if I'm listening to how to create a blueprint to build a greenhouse or something like that, then this is leading from the subtle world of thought into the articulation of speech, which then I listen to, and then I'm able to manifest through the external world various other kinds of organized forms. And that's always the case. According to the wisdom literatures, we're working from the subtle level and going to the gross level. And then there's a different kind of sound. It's categorically different. It's non-material. It is non-neural. It is non-temporal. It is non-physical, and it is non-chemical. The kind of sound that comes from the fourth dimension. And these are the mantras that are recommended for those who want to fill up their container with something other than the kinds of chatter that go on that describe the moment-to-moment difficulties that are taking place in the world. What might be an example of that? Can anybody say? Just from my description? Just throw it in the chat box. Okay, I'll put it in. How about, not to name anyone particularly, but I would just say breaking news. So, there's a realm of chatter going on describing what's happening down the block, on the other side of the country, on the other side of the world, and so forth. And these can be important, but they don't lead necessarily to an awareness of one's higher self. However, mantra does. So there's the practice of mantra that one can perform, and there's also hearing from these wisdom literatures, which I like to compare to antiviral software. And have you ever felt like you've got a software virus in your mind? Because it keeps going over the same loop over and over again, dealing with some kind of problem and causing anxiety and so forth. Well, how to overwrite that? There are wisdom literatures that give us a much higher perspective, and which look at the various levels of reality that we're dealing with in the world, and describe things in such a way that we can get a perspective that helps us to rise above the various anxieties that are inevitably confronting us at every minute on a certain level of our minds. We can rise above that level. So when we come to that as a level of achievement, we achieve what's called santosh, or a sense of enough. I'm happy right now. I feel satisfaction. And in that question, Kutra, where is the happiness? That's where it is. It's within yourself. And this is nothing new. Everybody knows this. It's a cliche to say happiness comes within. But there is a sadhana, or a practice through which one can achieve that. JM, what do you have to say about all this?
Even one thing which I reflected, as mentioned, that if you have the sense of enough or santosh, then it leads you to happiness. And towards that end, like I have a crazy day, like morning and afternoon, I can think that, or I should be thankful. Look, I have this 1 hour in between that again, that where I'm untouched by it. My mind is not running into all those things. So if you are thankful for what you have, which is this 1 hour, instead of thinking about what I don't have, which is the remaining 8 hours of craziness, then even in that craziness, you can develop a sense of satisfaction that at least I'm at peace right now and I'm happy. I was just reflecting on it's like looks like it's being applied to my life right now. So thanks for giving that perspective and making me say.
A little bit of practice goes a long way, and oftentimes we've given the example of a wedge. It has a very thin end, and then it thickens as it continues. And if you apply that small end to whatever opening there is, and then you push it a little bit, gradually it opens up more for you. So an hour is a lot for spiritual practice, actually, compared to the demands that many people have in their lives nowadays. But even a small fraction of that, 5 minutes, can make all the difference in the world. Do you want to say anything about the 21 days spiritual fitness?
Sure. Yeah, so I can quickly share. I mean, we do have the 21-day spiritual fitness challenge, which is currently on. I'll quickly share my screen. And you can see my screen. That can be accessed through the website.
So people are following this in different parts of the world and are giving us feedback and finding that it's helpful just to have some rungs on a ladder to follow. As what I'm saying is very much theoretical, but if I'm able to just apply some of these principles, and we've recommended some of these practices based on books like the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutras, and other Pancharatric books. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you can go to vaisheshikadas.com, and if you access the menu, it's within Next Steps Spiritual Fitness Challenge. From there, you can scroll down, and there are two versions of it available. One is you can submit it online. It's a tracker. Once you submit it online, you'll receive an email with your submission and a link to continue to update it, as well as a tracker which you can print if you want to have more printable copy. Which looks something like this. So there are two versions available. Now, currently the submissions have come forward for this current.
It just opened again, right?
Yeah, it just opened again. So if there are people having questions or want to know how to access it, please drop in a chat box and I'll get back to you. But as Vaish mentioned, all the activities are listed right below, that what those are and how to perform them. And also, as people are benefiting because it's very practical on a daily life, it can be incorporated. So that also is very helpful. So if anyone has any questions, please drop me a note.
Yeah. Habits lead to the bulk of our life is developed by habits. So these are just some ideas about ways you can develop habits that will develop higher level of content within, and also give some special skills in focusing the mind and so forth. So now for we thank everyone for coming to the first part, and typically we've divided this into two parts. And that is, the second part is dedicated to mantra meditation. So in mantra meditation, you have all the instruments that you need to practice this kind of otherworldly meditational experience by invoking a sound vibration that comes from a different stratum. And someone may say, well, how do you know it comes from a different stratum? And you might say, well, you have to experiment on yourself on this one. Because, I was thinking about the other day, how do I know when I'm hungry? I could write a dissertation on it and go into the details of the enzymes in my stomach and so forth. But I have an otherworldly sense of when I'm hungry. I just know. I was like, I'm hungry now, and I'm really hungry. Not right now, but I get hungry a lot. And I just know I am. And I also have an uncanny sense of knowing when I'm getting full. As soon as I start to eat, then I feel satisfied. And I'm also in a kind of trance when I'm eating, because I don't want to be anywhere else. That's where I want to be, is eating. So that's how commonsensical this process is. And okay, Soumya, thank you for being here. She has to drop off. Mantra itself is like food, and you just eat it. And if you're feeling any hunger, the hunger comes in the form of feeling dissatisfied maybe with the world. And there's a way in which I can't find my niche here where I actually feel totally satisfied. No matter what I get, it's not enough. So if you want to feel that satisfaction, which feels like, okay, I have enough right now, even if you experience it for a millisecond, it's worth all the other kinds of running around for hundreds, thousands of years trying to get something that you never actually attain. So it's very simple principles, just like eating. So there are a couple of mantras that I recommend. These come from authorized sources like the Upanishads. They're passed down through channels from one traditional teacher to the next over generations. And the concept of mantra meditation means that we're accessing a higher realm through the mantra. The sound of the mantra is potent. just like a drug. You may not know what's in the pill, but if you take it from a good source and it's been studied under double-blind studies, and you get it from a physician who is board certified, you have pretty good confidence that it's going to have its effects. Okay, so the first mantra, which I have received over my lifetime of practicing a mantra meditation and yoga, is Nitai Gauranga, which are invoking the avatars of mercy and compassion. And Nitai is an avatar and Gauranga is an avatar. Here spelled phonetically, but the sound, the potency is in the sound itself. So we'll repeat this mantra today 10 times, but we'll do it a little bit slower than I have before, so we can also use our breath. And if you sit up a little straighter than you were a second ago, and then go back to your natural breathing, where you're appreciating the full capacity of your lungs without straining. You may be able to, in one exhalation, say the mantra Nitai Gauranga. I think it's altogether possible. So at least let's try it 10 times. If you start to hyperventilate or something like that, then you can take your own pace. So I'm just going to take a couple of natural breaths, and then I'll say the mantra 10 times, and if you like, you can follow along with me. Nitai Gauranga, and then I'm going to inhale. Nitai Gauranga. 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 Now just sit for a second and feel for yourself how you've created your own content. You're a container. The most consequential way, according to the wisdom literatures, that we take in content is through sound. You can be self-determining by putting in these mantras that come from a higher dimension. Through your ear channels, the vibration enters into your heart, and it will make systemic changes throughout your whole body and mind. Therefore, it's called mantra. Mantra means to upgrade your mind. If you want a mind upgrade, you need a mantra. And the next mantra is the Maha Mantra. And JM, can you put on the next slide, please? bridge in Sanskrit is called a tirtha. It connects us from one realm to the next. Even the word realm is very interesting. We live in different realms according to our conscious awareness. And those who live in a very heavenly environment might, in their minds, be depressed or morose because of the state of their consciousness, and vice versa. I can be in the simplest or even chaotic environments, but if my consciousness is elevated, I'll see and experience things from that level. So we're able to bridge from the realm of the chaotic or the temporal into a realm that is non-material and is full of awareness and existence. Existence means that it doesn't ever cease to exist. And also ananda, which means bliss, happiness, the kind of happiness we discussed earlier that Coca-Cola says comes from their product. But I don't know if we believe them. So here's another shot at it. This, according to the wisdom literatures, is available through the process of mantra. So these vibrational abstractions written in letters represent sounds that come from a different realm. And if you are self-determining and you make these sounds yourself and listen to them, then the claim is that you'll open a bottle of happiness. So try it out. Okay, so this one is called the Maha Mantra. And I'll say the mantra, and you can say it along with me, and we'll go for 10 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And now you could just take a breathing break and let your breath regulate your mind and bring your mind into your breath and feel that you've introduced a vibration into your mental system, into your heart center. that is non-material. And we'll come back into the Zoom room and just let's see if there are any questions or any reflections anybody'd like to make about the process of mantra meditation or any of the points we've had. If anybody wants to reflect on anything you heard that you're taking away, if you walk out of this room, Zoom room, if you can walk out of a Zoom room, and someone says, "What was that guy talking about in there?" This is the one thing that you'll tell them that you took away. Our chat box is our friend, and if there's anything on Facebook also.
Yes, I was just reflecting on what we said, that we are containers and the content we fill in determines how much content we are. If we fill in with wrong content, we'll be feeling empty, but if we fill the right content, we'll feeling fulfilled. So even though physically it might be filled, but it may not be filled internally. So thanks for sharing that.
Theoretical, was there any experience that you had? Like, what did it feel like just chanting mantra? You can also say, my mind was all over the place because I was trying to regulate the Facebook and this at the same time. What was happening for you?
No, so that did happen. And so to avoid that, this time I enabled auto login on Zoom so people can log in automatically so I don't have to focus on that. So today at my session, I was a lot more focused than normal. But yes, I was also looking at Facebook, etc.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Any other reflections? Josh looks like he's ready to go. I can tell from the look on his face.
Thank you. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. I feel like I've been practicing regularly in the morning, but I feel like every time in these sessions that I do it along with you, I kind of get another little element that I can play with if I choose to. And so for instance, this time the pause between the first and the second half. And it's so funny, like I read one time, ironically, it was Coca-Cola. Somebody said you couldn't just repeat the word Coca-Cola over and over. It just wouldn't work the same as these mantras, you know? And I just think it's interesting how many different elements we can add to our practice.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. Thank you for that reflection. There's a friend of mine who wrote his dissertation, his PhD final project. I think it's University of Florida, but it was about the difference, about the effects of mantra. He wanted to prove through empirical evidence that there was a noticeable difference, and he had some profound research. And actually, I'm writing a book right now, but I'm incorporating some of that empirical evidence into the book too, and it is, some of it is with experimenting Coca-Cola versus other mantras, you know. Thank you very much, Josh. Good to see you. Yeah, and as far as the pause in between the two halves of the mantra, and when I did the whatever that was called for Salesforce, the Be Well session, and the host asked me, what about breath and so forth? And I realized that maybe I was going a little fast for some people and they were getting out of breath. So I've been experimenting lately on a lot of our calls with slowing it down so that pranayama can be there also. Pranayama meaning, breath practice. Thanks, Josh. It's so good to see you. Let's see. Someone wrote in and said, tolerate the urge so we can live an enlightened way. Container and fill with right content. Practice mantra meditation and do selfless service. Thank you so much for inspiring us. Thank you for writing in. Great. Any other reflections anybody has? A word, a comment, experience, or if you want to throw it in the chat box. It'd be great to hear from you. You can have the last word. Well, silence is beautiful too. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today for a little time during this lockdown to just enter into a different realm. We can point our attention wherever we want. And these are a few things that I've learned from my practices over the years, and I'm currently practicing. And just from my heart, sharing whatever kinds of little tidbits I have, hope as a service to you. And I deeply appreciate that you came, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, JM, for keeping everything on track technologically so that we can be together for an hour every week. See you all soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.